is Super League.
Fast.
Painful.
Hectic. Exciting.
Decision making. Tactical. Entertaining.
Action-packed.
Intense.
Furious.
It's like we're heading into the unknown. Position is key.
This is Super League.
Et c'est magnifique.
Welcome to Jersey, the location for the first full round of Super League Triathlon. After the success of the launch event in Hamilton Island, Australia, Super League has crossed the globe to stage another edition of this fuel-injected take on the traditional swim, bike, run triathlon format. The men return with scores to settle and are joined by 25 of the best female triathletes ready to experience Super League for the very first time. But now, a look at how these races mix things up and create new challenges for the best in the world. Swim, bike, run. That's triathlon, and that's all it has ever been until now. Brutal, tactical, explosive. Super League Triathlon takes every traditional element, douses it with rocket fuel, and welcomes each willing athlete into the furnace. The series debut at Hamilton Island in Australia took the established triathlon order and threw it straight out of the window. Some struggled, whilst others shone. Why? Well, it's much shorter for a start. 300 metres in the water, 6 kilometres on the bike, and a 2-kilometre run, each stage cutting 80% or more from the Olympic distance. The triple mix switches up the traditional order. Swim, bike, run, yeah, there's that. But there's also run, bike, swim, and bike, swim, run. Anyone can shine, and anyone can fall.
Oh, we've had a huge accident there.
Then it's the eliminator and the tactics change again. It's 3 races of swim, bike, run with 10 minutes break in between. Only this time, the tail enders are cut at each stage finish. Earn yourself a place in stage 3 with the rest of the top 10 and you're in with a shot.
There's no difference between winning this event and finishing 15th.
He was counting them.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Super League takes the best of triathlon, breaks it down and rebuilds it with one sole purpose: to be the true test for the multi-sport athlete. Body, mind and pure grit, with a series lead and a very big check on the line. In Jersey, what will the athletes face out on the course? Overall, it's a very tough and technical one with a number of varied surfaces and sharp turns. No concern about that in the water though. It's straight into the Elizabeth Bay Marina and 130 metres up to the first sharp left-hand turn that will bunch the field. Then 70 metres out to the second left-hand turn before a final run for home. A tough transition up a very steep and slippery ramp to the first turn and then into transition for the very first time. On the bike, 7 turns times 5 laps, with all of those 35 turns sharp and very technical. Athletes will face multiple surface changes whilst other parts become fairly narrow in places. Plenty of ways for riders to come unstuck across the 5.5 kilometres of the course. Onto the run, which covers the same course as the bike section, only 2 laps this time, but it does mean the crowds will be out in force and deep on both sides. There are chances for aggressive runners like Christian Blumenfeld to make up some time on the corners if they're brave enough to do so. Let's get to day one's action and the triple mix, but first, a recap on how this race works. Triathletes face 3 stages with 10-minute breaks in between, the second and third stages taking off in a pursuit-style format. And if anyone doesn't stay within 90 seconds of the leader, they're dropped from the race. Quite a different challenge then for 50 of the world's best. Let's take a look at the men's start list. Australian Jake Burt was so lucky to get the #1 spot on the pontoon. You can see there crowd favourite Jonathan Brownlee, Daniel Hawksworth, our wildcard from Jersey, so a local talent not wanting to disappoint. Further down the list, Christian Blumenfeld in number 12, alongside Dmitry Polyansky, another great swimmer from Russia. Richard Murray, our champion from the launch event, and Mario Mola, the world champion, are next to each other in 15 and 16, whilst Andreas Schilling is the unlucky one, placed in number 25. So let's get things underway with the first of the 3 men's triple mixed stages.
Away they go. Looks a reasonably clean start. There are time penalties, all kinds of penalties for a full start in the swim. You have to start last after that. You're relegated to last position. It's 130 metres to the swim, boy. Ali, you must have been pretty pleased with your brother's position. He got 3 thanks to Alessandro Fabian's generosity, I guess you would say. That's a pretty good start position for Johnny.
Yeah, to be honest, it's an age-old argument whether you want to be inside or outside, and it depends on the kind of swimmer you are. And we can see the 2 guys on the inside there, Bert Whistle and Johnny, kind of next to each other, swimming really well. And I actually can't see Richard Varga coming at the front yet, which is an interesting one. And we see this is Bert Whistle and Johnny, so the 2 inside there, 1-2, neck and neck. I would imagine Bert Whistle has gone out really hard for that first 115. He's paying for it a bit now, and Johnny to start leading around this next buoy actually. It's almost impossible to call exactly what's going to go on, especially in such a short race. It should just be understood that if you're next to each other like that, you don't want to be on each other's hips because you're slowing each other down. You're making it easy for the Richard Murrays and Mario Molders behind you.
Well, already under pressure, some big names. Moeller and Murray and Blumenfeld, all with plenty in front of them as they head off on the bike. It's 5K, so 5 laps of a 1-kilometre course as we are head on with Brownlee. Schumann, who always swims very consistently, but you can see already how narrow it is, and that's going to make it tricky for those at the back, including the likes of Moeller and Murray.
Yeah, really tricky for the guys who aren't in the front 4 or 5. You know, hopefully we see them really commit, and I know Johnny will be absolutely committing to this first 2 or 3K and then sit up and maybe see what's going on.
Johnny is back at the front there momentarily.
Yeah, he's pushing on here, you know, I think this is a bit of a rise on the course out of that roundabout, and every time he's working out of there, so he knows he's going to be hurting the people.
There's starting to be a significant distance first to last, and if you're towards the rear of the field, you've got to be a bit concerned, even though it's early stages in this day.
It's an elastic band, and I mean, the further back you are, the more energy it costs you to keep up with those front runners. You know, you're not braking, and you're braking and accelerating far more at the back than you are at the beginning of that group.
So off the bike stand with just a 2-kilometre run to go in this first stage.
Yeah, we've seen Matty Hauser, who's first into transition there, although he wasn't on the front of the bike at all, which is a bit cheeky, but from first out, so he's in a great condition, can kind of relax these first 400 or 500 metres.
Johnny Brownlee up front with the imposing figure of Blumenfeld. Richard Murray right there as well, so that's a good recovery from the defending champion. Well, these 4 have got themselves a little gap. It's Richard Murray from Brownlee, Blumenfeld and Schumann. And then a gap back to the chasers. You'll see the exact time as they come past here. This is first lap of 2. So they've got themselves about a 7 or 8 second advantage at the moment.
Yeah, Richard Murray's really pushing it on there and, you know, just starting to get a bit of a gap to those other guys. We see Henry Schumann's definitely lost those front 3 as well, and the race is completely split up already. You know, 20 seconds between the first 15. That's fantastic racing and great to see.
Well, anyone who thought it was going to be cagey and tactical on the run has been proved completely wrong, because this leading trio have got away now from Schumann and the rest, and those at the back are potentially in big trouble here. So they're just approaching the finish line then. Murray with a little look back, and he'll see Blumenfeld and Brownlee right there on his heels.
He does a lot of looking back. Well, he has been doing a lot of looking back. I'm not entirely sure what he's looking for, because he'll be able to hear how close they are, and you know, there's so many corners you can look back. There's obviously no advantage in winning this stage at all, but you don't want to give anyone even a 2-second lead. So yeah, there you go. Murray's done exactly the right thing there, eased off and let someone else win the battle, but maybe lose the war. We'll see.
The Schumann comes in 4th. We'll just check exactly what that gap is. 11 seconds. A bit of a sprint on for Mario Moda's got him within 15, but still significant. Let's just check those results then. Blumenfeld, Brownlee and Murray nothing between them, and there's nearly a quarter of a minute back to Mola and the rest. A fascinating first stage.
So after a 10-minute break, the tightly bunched trio headed off first in the pursuit-style format with an 11-second lead into stage 2. And with the leaders racing aggressively, some of the remaining athletes began to fall off the back.
Ben Shaw has been eliminated, more than 90 seconds behind.
Richard Murray just lied past the commentary box looking like a man possessed and going as hard as he could.
Once onto their bikes, Blumenfeld, Murray and Brownlee worked together to grow the impressive lead.
Just news that João Pereira is another who's out, so they're falling like flies here.
Still joined at the hip by the time they jumped back into the water, Brownlee looked to take the advantage, closely chased by the South African.
Richard Murray has gone ahead of Blumenfeld in the water, so decent swim for Murray. So stage 2, Johnny Brownlee will go out first on stage 3. Blumenfeld and Murray cross the line together, second and third. The order doesn't really make any difference.
Schumann must have had a great swim there. He's caught the best part of 15 seconds up on that swim.
That was very tactical, that race. I was trying to save as much energy as I could on the run of the bike to leave it for the swim, and I thought I'd get a big gap on the swim, but I think I was all tired going into that swim, and I thought my stroke would help me out, but it didn't really. Only a few seconds ahead, but that was good fun. I'm enjoying it.
Check the results after stage 2, where Johnny has a 3-second advantage over Blumenfeld and Murray. Henry Schumann 17 seconds back, and then it's more than half a minute for the likes of Royal, Mola, the youngster Matt Hauser, and Andreas Schilling there just sneaking into the top 10.
With the big three well out in front, it was on to the final stage of the men's triple mix, which began this time on the bike.
So away goes Johnny, and there'll be a few second wait for Blumenfeld and for Murray. They've got to put the helmet on. They've got to get onto the bike, not before the line, obviously.
What this does,
the bike shoot.
Sorry, what this does do though is it just allows for little gaps. You know, for example, if Blumenfeld there messes up getting his shoes on, that could literally cost him the race. So just adds a little bit extra complexity into it.
Problems can occur just getting onto your bike, but it looks as though Blumenfeld has caught on to Murray and Brownlee, so they're together again, these three, as they have been pretty much for the entire afternoon. It looks like those chasing Schumann are likely to catch on fairly shortly. He's had a couple of kind of slightly nervous looks behind him. But these three surely now have it between them. Just heard that Igor Polyansky is the latest casualty. So yet another big name is out, more than 90 seconds behind. So here they come through transition and off the bikes. And this swim could be absolutely pivotal in deciding who's going to get the maximum 25 points. One of them's going to get 25, one of them's going to get 21, and one of them's going to get 18. And that 7-point gap, first to third, could potentially be critical come tomorrow afternoon.
We're going to see Blumenfeld dive in here first and take it on. I would expect Johnny just to either try and sit on him a little bit and rest, or take it on, and Richard Murray just needs to go straight for the first feet he can find and conserve energy round here.
I reckon at the moment it is about 5 seconds from Johnny Brownlee back to Richard Murray.
We see Henry Schumann having another great swim there, trying to swim across the gap. Johnny just eased off his turnover there, and he's knowing that that's going to conserve just a little bit of energy coming onto the run.
We have just got the run leg to go to decide who's going to win.
This triathlon's really important. I think Johnny's just lost a bit of time there. He struggled to get his shoe on, and that couple of seconds could be absolutely critical.
This is a real statement of intent, isn't it, from Blumenfeld? He just knows only one way to compete. Doesn't matter whether it's in the water, on the bike, or on the run. And he's trying to throw it down to Richard Murray. He hasn't dropped the South African, but he's got himself a little bit of an advantage, with Johnny Brownlee further adrift now back in third.
Johnny's actually lost a fair bit of time here, the best part of 10 seconds over that time. So it must have taken it out of him, and he's struggling.
Murray getting closer. to Blumenfeld. This is going to be good.
Johnny's at risk
Struggling.
here, actually, of getting caught by Schoeman. So, yeah, I mean, he has to really race clever here to make sure he doesn't get caught.
And Blumenfeld, he's got himself another gap, and this one could potentially be the difference between 25 points and 21, because Murray is struggling now to get back on terms with the Norwegian. There you see the gap.
Blumenfeld is on a high, he's running well, no signs of slowing up at all, and yeah, that gap's gone right out 20-30 metres at least.
So Richard Murray has to settle for second.
Yeah, I think we're seeing probably the guys in the first who are going to come first and second overall here. He's enjoying the moment.
Yeah, he is. He's conducting the crowd as well, but he's conducted this race absolutely brilliant. Consistency, he swum well, he's biked and run really bravely. He looks behind, there's no danger, and he is going to win this race. Blumenfeld takes 25 points, puts himself in pole position for tomorrow's eliminator and to take the overall title. But this man, who's the defending champion, he'll have to rip it out of his grasp. He is going to take big points too. He's such a character. He finished his second in the race. And Johnny Brownlee with Schoeman trying to get the sprints on, but Brownlee has held him off, and Brownlee will finish third with the South African Schoeman back in fourth.
It feels super good. It's like I knew that, especially Murray, he seemed to be really strong on the run, so I wasn't really sure where to get him, but yeah, super pleased.
Well, he's such a modest guy, Christian Blumenfeld. As we check the results here, his winning margin over Richard Murray, 13 seconds in the end. Similar distance back to Johnny Brownlee, who held off the charging Henry Schoeman, with Mario Mola, the world champ, back in fifth. In the end, only 10 finishers. Such was the pace of racing in this Super League triathlon.
Our winner, number 2, Christian Blumenfeld.
Congratulations, Christian Blumenfeld. The Norwegian goes into day 2's eliminator race with maximum points. Richard Murray and Jonathan Brownlee hot on his heels. Up next, 25 of the best women in the world competing for the first time in Super League triathlon. Let's take a look now at the start list for Stage 1. Australian Emma Jeffcoat, ideally positioned in the number 1 spot. Britain's Emma Pallant, who was second in the 70.3 World Championships a couple of weeks ago, is there. Nicola Spirig, 4 months after giving birth to her second child, is in 9. Carolina Routier and Katie Zafiris in the middle of the pack, both renowned for their swim legs, so 2 people to look out for straight away. Stand by for the start of the ladies' competition.
300 metres to swim, it looked pretty clean.
Straight out the blocks, there's 3 of them there with a bit of a gap back to the rest of the field, and 2 girls swimming really well at the front.
I have to say that I have spoken to a number of the men that race, and I have heard that the men are brutal, but not quite as brutal as women, and certainly not the things I've encountered in the water at times. And we can see a lot of them hitting each other over the head. I've had my togs pulled down, I've been pulled underwater, I've been swum over the top of. So there's something about the way the girls race in the water that they really, really somewhat even like to attack each other, if you could go as far as saying that.
Jodie Stimpson trying hard as she can to get on these leading 3, currently in 4th place and trying to get to the front. Caroline Routier from Spain ended up leading that swim at the end there.
What do you think about Nicola Spirig's chances here, Ashley? Because not only she's just given birth to a second child, she's fully 5 years older than anyone else in the field too.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what Nicola Spirig does. I think she's an absolute star. The fact that she's done so well at the last 2 Olympics with hardly anything in between, I think just shows her and her coach are brilliant at getting it right when it counts, which is fantastic.
There you can see the split first to last, and it is significant already, but Coolman will be delighted with that swim, as will Jeffcoat.
Jeffcoat's got to go quick, she's got to get this helmet on. Stimson has a bit of a
As we expected, Sophie Caldwell being aggressive here on the early part of the bike. These 5 girls at the front now are racing well. They're working well together. They're pulling the field apart, and I think probably within the women's field, you've got to look at Spirig as probably the only kind of person who's got the firepower to start pulling this back. This is all coming together. Well, the front 10, I'm pretty sure within the next half lap, there's going to be a group of at least 10 girls at the front, as those girls like Spirig and the 3 Americans in that group have brought it all back.
Well, the other name to be wary of there, I reckon, Emma, Summer Cook. We know how well she runs, and she's in that leading group too. We've hardly mentioned her, but she's in great position. Samira Albitar was last out the water. She's actually fallen 90 seconds behind, so she'll play no further part this afternoon.
These girls must be a little bit back as well, so I think they might struggle with the 90-second rule as well. The last 2 on the pack, as we just see them come along the side of the waterfront there, is actually Summer Cook and Lon Stanford, who have both been distanced by about 5 metres each. So they're obviously finding it hard. They probably had to work quite hard to get back on terms with these girls.
So Stimson first into the shoes, but you can see he had to kind of go wide to avoid the other bikes coming in. It's a narrow transition.
Here we are, Nicola Spirig taking it on, doing what she knows best. She's on the run now. She's got clear ground in front of her, and she's just going to drill this and go as hard as he can to stretch it out.
No surprise at all to see Katie Zafiris prominent. She's one of those women that just never seems to have a bad race. And remember, just 2 laps of 1 kilometre each, and then they'll have the 10-minute rest period, and the next stage will be run, bike, swim. Still Nicola Spirig. This is a phenomenal performance from the Swiss. It really is so far.
Yeah, 3 fairly clear here with Spirig, Zafiris and Mikkel from Belgium. The group behind led by 2 Ritz Caldwell and Jodie Stimpson. And they're just, you know, obviously running together. They're training partners, and they'll be egging each other on and trying not to lose too much time. That's Summer Cook just moving through the field. I think she's in 4th place now, so she's done quite well coming off the bike. 7 seconds down. She's had to run some good time into those girls in front.
So Michelle with Spirig, Zafiris and Cook. That is your leading quartet.
This must be the track runner in Michelle here, you know, pushing it on and knows the finish line's in sight. And she's actually managed to get a bit of distance there on Zafiris and Summer Cook again, who's obviously had to run so hard to get back on terms. And she's actually, yeah, she's actually sprinting for the finish. So she really wants those time every second she possibly can get.
Well, impressive, very impressive from the Belgian. Also, Nikki Spirig's going to finish a 2nd down. Zafiris right behind, and then Summer Cook. And then a little gap, but you can see how strung out they are behind. I think that's Jodie Stimpson about to come across the line now. Yes, it is.
Sophie Caldwell as well, yep.
Claire Michelle across the line together with Spirig, a couple of seconds away, Zafiris. That won't be a problem for the next stage. Summer Cook very close as well. And then Klammer and the 2 Brits.
Stage 2 of the women's triple mix. After 10 minutes to recover, it was off on another 2-kilometre run, and only seconds separated the top 3.
I think we've got Katie Zafiris on the front now, making a bit of a move.
The field split up into several small groups. Spirig, Summer Cook and Claire Michelle surged to create a 20-second gap on the chasing pack of Jodie Stimpson, Sophie Caldwell and Rachel Klammer. The 2012 Olympic gold medalist Spirig would be the first out of transition to stake her claim on the race.
What Spirig's doing is just blowing the race apart here, so fantastic racing.
Zafiris answered the surge by confidently riding back onto Spirig's wheel before taking the lead into the swim.
We're seeing the group behind have really concertinaed back together, actually. You know, I don't think we would have predicted that on the last few laps of the bike.
With Zafiris displaying incredible swimming technique, she extended her lead and confidently took the stage. Still very much in striking distance, Spirig coming home in 2nd place to the American.
So just a 6-second advantage for Zafiris over Spirig. 25 seconds back to Cook, then Caldwell, Casper, Michelle and Stimpson, Lindemann, Klammer and Routier. Huge group in behind the leading 2. So away we go for the 3rd and final stage of this women's triple mix, the first ever of Super League Triathlon for the women. Spirig off behind Zafiris, and then in behind them, it's a real old battle.
This big group of 6 people together, I think they're going to be together now for most of this race, to be honest. And here comes Spirig. We've seen her, you know, make up that gap, and she's pretty much straight back on Zafiris now, with only a small gap back to her 5 meters or so. And let's see if she can get back on terms around these next few corners.
Lindemann clearly has an issue there.
Yeah, I think she's crashed. She was trying to straighten a wheel and handlebar. Yeah, she just used a bit too much of the road there.
Whoa.
And literally went straight into the barrier. We're seeing Caldwell and Casper here in 3rd and 4th place behind the leading 2, and doing a really good job of working together, actually. Zafiris seems to have a bit more firepower out those corners, or Spirig's playing a very tactical game, who knows.
So round the roundabout for the final time on the bikes.
Spirig gets around her for transition, you know, exactly where she wants to be.
So a 300-meter swim now, and they're together as they have been for, well, probably about half an hour. Spirig does have that slight advantage, although Zafiris trying to get on terms with her early.
Here we are again, Zafiris on the front. And Grace swimming straight, pushing it on, and Nicola behind, doing everything she can to hold on and not lose too much time.
If Spirig can keep it relatively close when they come out, she'll give herself a chance on what could be an absolutely fascinating run. The last group of 4, which is Spivey, Riveros, Lindemann, who actually still is in at the moment, and Abrosimova, they're right on the cusp of being 90 seconds down, so we might lose all 4 of them. The leading 2 are out, but here are the chasers, and as you can see, it's all to play for 3rd, 4th and 5th by the look of it, and there's a huge difference in points.
The big question is whether Spirig can catch Zafiris up. Nice, fairly clean transition for Zafiris. Transition, she's out and going.
Well, it's Zafiris' race to lose from here. She's got a very handy advantage over Nicola Spirig, who has a similar distance back to the chasers. Summer Cook is amongst those, and also Sophie Caldwell too. The last we looked back, it was an all-American battle for 3rd place, and it still is between Summer Cook and Kirsten Casper, and they appear to have a little bit in hand of Claire Michel and others. She's got time to high-five the crowd. She knows the triple mix title is hers now. She's made a statement of intent to the field. She's done absolutely nothing wrong. Solid swim, solid bike, a really excellent run. She's run away from the double Olympic medalist Nicola Spirig over this last 2,000 metres. And Katie Zafiris, the inaugural winner of the Super League Triathlon Women's Triple Mix, and she's done it in the grand manner. You see behind, no danger either to Spirig in 2nd, and it's going to be Summer Cook behind her for 3rd. I'm not sure Spirig thought she'd do anywhere near as well as this, Alice. I think you could tell from her body language.
Yeah, I think she's really happy with it, and good on her, you know, only 4 months ago giving birth. The side, for me, the fact that Zafiris was celebrating that early on, 200 or 300 metres from the finish line, showed me that she'd already switched off and was thinking about tomorrow, which is great to see.
Look at this, the sprint's on, and Casper is going to get there for 4th place, and that's 2 more points than you get for 5th. Just outruns Claire Michel.
Feels really good. When I first got on the bike, I was a little off technically with the corners, and I was like, oh no, I was at the back, but I got more comfortable and moved up and was happy with how the race progressed as it got on.
In the end, a 19-second advantage she had over Nicola Spirig. Summer Cook got within 7 seconds of the Swiss. Casper out-sprinted Claire Michel to finish 4th. Caldwell, really good run for the youngster. She finishes in 6th place. Abrosimova finishing 10.
Let's turn it up for Katie Zafiris.
2 amazing triple mix races and 2 very worthy winners in Katie Zafiris and Christian Blumenfeld, both taking the maximum 25 points in today 2's Eliminator, a new format, a new challenge, and the same old scores to settle. The beauty of Super League Triathlon is backing up effort day after day. The triple mix now out of the way, but some sore, bruised and battered bodies heading into the Eliminator. The ladies up first this time, and then we finish with the men. Here's how the Eliminator plays out, 3 stages, but we go back to the traditional swim, bike, run format. Finish outside the top 15 at the end of stage 1 and you are gone. Then only the top 10 make it through to the final stage, where the winner is the first crossing the line. Let's take a look at the start list. Emma Jeffcoat positioned in the best spot on the pontoon. Good to see Emma Pallant back after her crash in the triple mix. Runner-up on day 1, Nicola Spirig in 9th spot, whilst 3 of the Americans, Zafiris, Cook and Casper, all positioned together. Let's get the Eliminator underway.
So away they go. It's a 300-metre swim. And just a reminder, 16th to 25th place eliminated. They're out of here. So particularly for those, the Zafiris, the Spirigs, the Cooks, the Caspers at the front, they don't have to come in the top 10 necessarily. As long as they get through, not a problem. Looks like it could possibly be Sophie Caldwell out front. I can see Routier lying currently in 3rd place. Routier actually starts the day in 7th, which maybe is a bit higher than a lot of us thought, because she's not renowned for her biking and running particularly.
Typically we see her out the front of the swim. I mean, Sophie Caldwell's obviously a phenomenal little athlete and, you know, really taking charge.
Taylor Spivey right up there, as you would expect. She's an excellent swimmer. So Caldwell, it looks like, is going to lead them as they come out the water. Now, a few of them had problems here yesterday on this exit, slipping and sliding around. So all they have to do, the leading few, is just make sure they stay in the game. Don't make any mistakes. And of course, with a wet bike course, there could well be issues.
Yeah, I've actually been out to have a look at the surface conditions, and at the roundabout that we just see Sophie Caldwell going around now, I think it's probably one of the dodgiest bits. The tarmac slippy, really slick, and anything on it will make it really dangerous today. You might say there's not an advantage in pushing and trying to win, but there is an advantage in staying safe, staying on your own, staying out of trouble and not crashing. And I think, for me, Sophie's doing absolutely the right thing. She's controlling the race, she's staying safe out front and making sure that she qualifies. But seeing Nicola Spirig, she's been on the front of that group mostly. I saw non-Stanford take a couple of turns, but mostly Nicola Spirig, as you'd expect, on the front driving the bike pack.
Zafiris just towards the back of the field, but that's not a major issue. Well, we got trouble straight away.
You know what's happened? They're on the tape on the carpet, and they've just completely lost control.
Yeah,
there.
Rudnor down, and Pallant had absolutely nowhere to go apart from straight into her. Credit to both women. They're back on the bikes and okay by the looks of things. Well, we've got more drama here. That looked like Barbara Riveros, who's down. There's someone also down behind her.
That's Jeffcoat from Australia down behind her. Exactly the same again, like Emma said before. That black tape that we can just see now in the middle of the carpet is lethal.
Last we heard of Zafiris, she was in 18th place. Well, obviously, she can't afford to finish there. Sophie Caldwell and Jodie are off the bikes.
See, the thing is here, all these girls will know that the most damaging part of this early race is having to run hard. And basically, Sophie and Jodie can pretty much jog this next 2K. You know, they can have a nice, easy run. They know they've got 12 seconds on 3rd place and a lot more on 15th place. And that could really benefit them later on. Katie Zafiris is fine though, she's absolutely safe. She's made her way up into probably about 10th place, I'd say there, so safely inside the top 15, and she's doing the right thing. She doesn't need to go any harder at all, conserve.
Yeah, that's smart racing. The two Brits up front, but remember, no real advantage coming first and second.
This is the race, basically. These two are racing to stay in the competition at the moment, and I think looking at her face, we can tell.
Well, Michelle's now got Abrosim over in her sight. She's gone past Jersey, so there might be more drama there.
Sophie and Jodie are, I think, just on complete cruise now. They know the job's done, and they're hopefully already thinking about the next stage. There you go, Michelle's overtaken her, and definitely in the position now that she's going to make it into the next round.
The leaders, meanwhile, have the finish line in sight.
Nicola Spirig's actually chosen to run a bit harder than all the others in this race. She's pulled away from the girls behind her and caught up Jodie and Sophia. I wonder if that's just her determined attitude.
They're going to go across together. You saw that nice little look across from Jodie. So Stimson caught with the two Brits, first and second. Not that that really matters. Cook is safely through. There's Zafirez, who came in as a series leader. And most of the big names look to be okay. Lindeman's done really well after that crash yesterday.
Yeah, Routier just coming over the line there as well. Looks to be having a better day. And this is Michelle, 15th. There you go.
So this is how the women's eliminator standings looked after the first stage. Britain and America still going strong. Most of the names that you would expect to be there still present, but how would they fare in stage 2?
Only the first 10 over the line will qualify for the final stage.
Sophie's gone hard out on the left-hand side there, and you can see Jodie straight on her feet trying to hold on there. You also saw Caroline Routier on the right-hand side go out hard as well, and that's her only way of doing it. You can just see there, mostly on the right now, with a couple of people back and on her right. She has to swim round the people in front of her now. Spirig is right there on the left-hand side. She's going to struggle to where she is. She's quite a long way back as well. She's going to get pinned in around that buoy.
See, one woman got stood up there. That might
Here we
be
go.
Rachel
Look at this.
Klammer. And now they cut across.
That's it. You know, these sharp turns, this is when it gets nasty.
Let's just have another look at this. It's right in the centre of your screen in just a moment.
I
You
don't
see
know
it there.
Yeah, who that is. A few people stopped there. This is Non-Stanford here on the outside, who gets absolutely nailed by Michelle there.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so Non is effectively in last place. Caldwell first, Simpson second, and I think Zafirez in third. That's the most spread out swim we've seen so far. And that's because if you're a weaker swimmer, you've just got less fast water to swim in. You've got less feet to swim on, and it's more spread out.
Well, we haven't even got onto the bikes yet, and you can see those 4 or 5 at the back there are potentially in trouble.
With the race having become a battle for the remaining 5 spots, it was time for the athletes to put themselves on the line and go all out in the tricky conditions.
Lindemann has crashed again. We saw it yesterday.
It appears even on the same corner.
Taylor Spivey come off the bike as well. So these conditions finding so many of these women out.
Things weren't completely safe at the front of the race either, but holding on to that lead with a bunch consisting of Stimson, Zafirez, Casper, Spirig and Caldwell.
These 5 at the front, yeah, I think they're enjoying it. It is a Sunday morning, they're out for a run.
That was interesting because you saw Klammer have a look back. She knows there are 5 in front. At the moment, Stanford is 11th, and that means she won't get into the final stage. So we've got the leading group of 5 as they come round to hear the bell. They're pursued by Summer Cook running on her own. Very decent turnout of spectators on a wet and windy day. And they're watching some of the top women in the world battling to try and stay in this inaugural Women's Super League triathlon. And at the moment, Non-Stanford is going to be the casualty because Charion is holding firm in 10th place. There you can see it. Non is giving absolutely everything. So Stimson first across the line. Spirig is safely through. Zafirez to Casper and Summer Cook. And the 4 behind them are all going to qualify. And there is the casualty. Non-Stanford, despite maximum effort, is eliminated in this second stage. And now we know the final 10 that are going to battle it out for the title. Rachel Klammer will be in that 10. Non-Stanford will not.
Really disappointed because it was so close, but I think Emmy sensed I was coming and picked the pace back up again. But yeah, so much better than yesterday. Actually felt like I was racing today rather than just walking around. So definitely happy because I thought I'd be out in the first round.
One more stage before Jersey would be able to crown its Women's Super League champion as the surviving 10 lined up to get back into the water.
So away they go for this final stage. This is the race that's going to decide it.
And that's Sophie Caldwell, straight out, great start, straight off the block. She'll have done 5 or 6 strokes head down as she powered up just to get that gap because as soon as she's in clear water now, she can swim how she wants to swim.
And she just cuts straight over, doesn't she? She just takes straight over to that short inside line. And I guess, you know, looking at Jodie, they've worked together now, but I think it's every woman for themselves.
Caldwell swimming this afternoon has been absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, she's great at this kind of event, this kind of distance. I think if any triathlon format was made for her, it would be this format. Maybe just one of them, but we'll see on this one. Third one she's done in a day, see what she's got left. And yeah, that is Summer Cook in second. And the both Americans actually are in third and fourth there. So Zafirez, and it doesn't really matter which way around they are, and Casper. And behind them hasn't been quite as rough, but still, we're seeing a bit of gap form there, and that could be crucial. Summer Cook trying to move up here on Sophie Caldwell. She knows that if she can get out the water that little bit further up and up through transition and make the difference, you know, get out on the bike early, that could really help her race on. And a bit of a split behind as well.
Well, she could get, yeah, I mean, she's got a gap to Katie here, and that could potentially be really significant.
Yeah, so we're going to have 2 groups of 3 coming out the water here. Sophie Caldwell there in first place. That's Casper. And then here, yeah, where that gap went, that's the Zafirez. So she's lost
Katie.
Yeah, and Spirig on the back there. So, yeah, I think Nicola's going to have a bit of work to do here, but not as much as some of her rivals would have liked.
Well, if anyone can do that work on the bike, it is Nicola Spirig. Zafirez maybe not as close as she wants to be. And is there an opportunity here for the likes of either Cook or Casper, because we shouldn't forget about her, because she's right in the mix, to maybe get a march on Zafirez and Spirig and get away and find a gap on the bike? We'll see.
Summer Cook's just cost herself 2 or 3 seconds there on a mount, not been having to do a static mount.
Yeah, Katie was miles better, and now Katie's right behind her again.
Yeah, and Sophie was really fast. That's where she's got the gap. And yeah, Nicola Spirig will have been quick, and I expect she's already making up places going through the field. But I think we could see this really split up now. We get some aerial shots now. It must mean the weather's got a bit better.
Yeah, we even got some blue sky peeking through, but we're coming to the denouement of this inaugural Women's Super League triathlon event here in Jersey. And at the moment, it's between Zafirez and Spirig, you would think, unless Cook or Casper can do something on the next 3 laps of the bike.
Yeah, Summer Cook, you can see she just loses that gap around the corners, and that it makes it harder for her. But that group behind isn't that far off, so I think if it doesn't speed up, they're going to come back into it. And there's only a couple of chances on this course to overtake. So I can see Nicola using one now. This is the straight bit on that, and the straight bit on the back straight of it where it widens out. They're probably the only 2 places on the course you can really overtake. So Nicola's used that opportunity to get to the front, and I imagine she's going to push it around this next lap, take a few risks around the corners, and see if she can start creating gaps.
You see Kirsten Casper's scars of battle there on her upper leg after that crash that she had earlier. 1 lap to go, 1,000 metres, and then the run will decide it.
Yeah, so this is going to be a run between 6 of them. I don't know, it's very, very hard to call. Spirig's expending a lot of energy here, but she's also making it harder for the people behind her. Betting against Spirig on a 2K run, I don't know, you'd be brave to do that, wouldn't you?
I think you'd have to be very brave, and I think she takes so much confidence from what she's achieved and what she's done in her career, and I think she doesn't really take anything into account thinking she can't not do it. She clearly proves that time and time again in every direction.
And there are actually 2 titles they're fighting for here. There's the Eliminator title, which is just who wins today, and then the overall round here in Jersey, which is the cumulative total of the points from yesterday and today. So 5 of them off the bike together, and this might well be Zafirez versus Spirig. Let's see who's the champion. We'll see how it pans out. Casper in the mix as well, but she's going to need some help from the other athletes because she's starting 4th.
Right, she's got 2 seconds on Zafirez already, so and crucially over 2K, that's pretty tough. It'll be interesting to see what, I mean, we all know that she tends to back a finish, or whether she's just going to go straight out here for it and take it on. I think we're seeing Summer Cook lose a bit of time there, and I think that's going to be that's a real shame, because if she was up there coming off the bike, I think she could have been in danger to win this race.
If Spirig wins and Zafirez is second, Spirig will be the overall champion. Spirig knows a victory will get it done, but as we watch Summer Cook, but Zafira's looking strong, has gone to the front.
She looks really relaxed. Zafira's looks, you know, easy. She doesn't look. She looks like she's got more in it if she needed it. And Nicola Spirig looks like she's giving everything she's got to get back on terms with it.
And a very tactical move at the position she did it. I mean, like you said, there's only slight uphill really in this whole course. And you know, going out of transition, she could see that Nicola was working very hard. But I think she's just really looked at this course very carefully and seen where she can make any advantage possible.
Well, if Summer Cook finishes second, then potentially she'll be second overall, even if Spirig was to finish third. And Spirig looks like she's struggling a little bit. Kasper has gone ahead of her now, and Stimson running just behind the Swiss. So at the moment, Zafira's looking good for the title. Summer Cook looking good to take second overall. There you can see the gap. They're well inside the last 600 or 700 meters here. It is Zafira's here. So strong. Cook is certainly getting closer to her, but she may run out of road, so to speak. And look at Spirig getting the sprint on to try and stay ahead of Kasper.
Yeah, she used that slight downhill there. You know, if it's much easier to get your legs turning, get that bit of momentum up on the downhill, and she used that to perfection just to get herself moving and get a gap on the people behind her and start making inroads on the people in front. Summer Cook's actually come really fast up to Zafira's in this last 200 metres. She's run out of road to catch her, definitely. I think Zafira's knows she's got it and it's going to be comfortable.
She does. She was tipped by so many, but she still had to deliver, and she's done it magnificently. She won yesterday. She's going to win the Eliminator today. She's the overall champion with maximum points. Summer Cook finishes second. That will get her second overall. And Nicola Spirig got the better of Kasper, and Spirig will finish with the bronze today and for the overall round.
Oh, it feels awesome. Well, the first round was really rough, and I think as the rounds went on, I got a little bit better, a little more confident in the wet. It's kind of nerve-wracking watching so many people go down in front of you, so I'm really happy. This is awesome.
Here is the final standings. Overall, Zafira's, Cook and Spirig is your 1, 2, 3. Kirsten Kasper, so consistent again. The two Briggs, Caldwell and Stimson, Claire Michel, Rachel Klammer, Carolina Routier and Abrosimova. That's the cumulative points total. 50 out of 50. Can't really do much better than that.
Let's give it up for our women's podium finishers of Super League Jersey.
Congratulations to all three women. A fantastic race. More to come with the men still to follow, but Katie Zafiris crowned the inaugural Women's Super League Jersey Triathlon Champion. Now it's time to turn our attention to the men's eliminator, and with the weather having closed in, the men had an extra challenge to overcome. Jake Birtwistle and Jonathan Brownlee lined up next to each other on the start. Our triple mix champion Christian Blumenfeld in 10, with Richard Murray, our series leader, next to world champ Mario Mola in 13 and 14. Let's get straight to the action at the start of the eliminator, stage 1.
Brownlee starting in third overall, Blumenfeld the leader, Richard Murray second, the defending champion from Hamilton Island. Then Brownlee, Schoeman, Mola and Hauser. That's your top 6. Fascinating to see how Schoeman goes. We know he's generally a pretty good swimmer. Johnny Brownlee also, but they're on completely opposite sides. Well, we saw some carnage in the women's race going around this boy just about now, when you've got a group of maybe 6 or 7 abreast. That looked a little bit cleaner. Hard to tell from that angle. You couldn't get more close up and personal than that. Jake Birtwistle having a good swim. If you're wondering why he's got that red tri-suit on, that's because he had the best run split in Hamilton Island. Ryan Bailey's wearing green. He had the best bike time. Obviously, Richard Murray is the current leader. As they come out the water, let's see if we get any issues here with triathletes slipping and sliding. We saw plenty of that yesterday.
Schoeman was first into transition, closely followed by Polyansky and Birtwistle. But with the wet roads already making conditions difficult, many riders found their optimal spot up the front amongst athletes with more confident bike skills.
Dimitri Polyansky out the race is not known for his wet weather bike handling skills, and that's not surprising at all, to be honest. 1 lap to go now.
Oh,
That's Dijkstra off.
Yeah, Dijkstra is remounting, but he's lost an awful lot of time, and he was right on the cut.
With a bunch of 15 forming at the front of the race, the elimination pressure was off, for this group at least. It was Christian Blumenfeld who dug deep on the run to ideally position himself up the front, with Jonathan Brownlee and Aussie Aaron Royal closely tucked in behind.
So no big name casualties, although Ben Dijkstra, after that incident on the bike, looks like he's going to be out here. Jake Birtwistle just about inside the cut. Fernando Alaza plumb last at the moment. Santo Grajales struggling, not his kind of conditions, you'd probably say.
And in Blumenfeld, he's just put a bit of effort in to get there with Johnny in second, Aaron Royal, and Mario Mola comes through there. He decided that effort on the run there was worth a good swim start position. It's really, really important for him.
Stage 1 results, Blumenfeld, Brownlee, Royal and Murray all comfortably placed, and all knowing it doesn't really matter where they finish, as long as it was inside the top 15.
I was feeling comfortable in the run. I was in a bit of trouble after the swim and really had to push the bike quite hard to get back onto the pack, but yeah, it was all about conserving energy at the end and just making sure I just got through, so bring on the next two.
And after a 10-minute rest, it was back out to take on the penultimate stage.
And away they go.
You can see far left, from far left, that's Blumenfeld, Johnny Brownlee second in, Aaron Royal third in, that's Mario Mola Hauser that's gone straight out and got a clear body length, so he'll be happy that with Ben Canute there pretty much on his feet. Polyansky's in a battle here we're seeing right now with Birtwistle. Those two are both holding each other back.
very interesting to see, and it's exactly like you said. I think, you know, the likes of Jake and Igor, fighting each other for that water has actually slowed the pace down a bit. You can just see how big a difference that makes with some of the swimmers around you.
Blumenfeld's just there on the left-hand side, showing the advantage of what that inside line gave him, because he gave up 2 or 3 body lengths almost immediately, and it hasn't cost him. That's because he managed to get a short line around that sharp turn buoy.
Johnny Brownlee still going well, starting in 3rd position overall.
There's Mario Mola towards the back of that. He's not detached from the group at all, but he's going to have work to do to move up towards the front.
Birtwistle and Schilling, Richard Murray, it's about 7 seconds adrift. Mario Mola pretty much with Murray. We saw them together for much of day 1. And then Bailey, Van Egdom and Polyansky. We've got problems there.
Big crash, yeah.
Some issues and some drama in transition. And it looks like some problems with the bike there. Schoeman Polyansky's in trouble, Van Egdom, Bailey another struggler. And Blumenfeld needs to get on terms with the likes of Schilling and Birtwistle just in front of him. Fair play to the spectators that have come out to support this event today. Like a sea of umbrellas, but they're not let a bit of rain put them off, and they're being rewarded with some fabulous entertainment. Polyansky has just completed a really miserable weekend for both the brothers. He's out after a crash. Understand that Ryan Bailey's also crashed, so they're falling like flies at the moment.
Yeah, that's just a nasty crash. I don't think anything went wrong there, apart from he slid out on the corner. Hauser there, sensible to get to the front at the end of the race. A little bit cheeky that he's done no work to move it on. He even sat 2nd place behind Canute there for the whole race and last lap, and didn't even try to speed the race up.
Richard Murray on the shoulder of Johnny Brownlee, followed by Royal and Blumenfeld.
Those 5 men at the back, they'll be looking at each other and thinking, oh, who's going to go here?
Well, this run has really found out Ryan Fisher. I think he was 2nd or 3rd out of transition, certainly up the front. And at the moment, it looks like Fabian is in a real battle with Canute and Van Egdom. One of those is going to go as well.
You've got to remember that actually you're going to have little trials and tribulations, things that go wrong along the way, and it's how you cope with them and how you get over that and move on is the test of kind of how good an athlete you are. Things aren't going to go right all the time, especially when you're racing on a small, just over 1 kilometre loop in Jersey in the rain. 3 times in one day. You've just got to be able to cope with these things, and that is a lot of the time. That's what separates the best, really.
So a whole group of them cross the finish line. Canute does really well. Fabian also has qualified, and it is the end of the line for Jorik van Egdom. 11th place is no good in the second stage eliminator. Most of the big names are there: Blumenfeld, Brownlee and Murray. There were 1, 2 and 3 yesterday, although not quite in that order. Aaron Royal and Mario Mola racing well, along with Bert Whistle, who's having a better day than he had yesterday, and a really brave effort by Ben Canute. He did so much work on the bike and still had enough on the run.
Down to the final race and the conclusion to this fantastic event. Which of our 10 men would take home the title of Jersey Super League champion?
Can someone like Johnny Brownlee get an advantage in the water here over the likes of Murray and Mola and potentially Blumenfeld as well?
He's going to try. We've seen Matt Hauser again get straight out there and get half a body length on everyone around her. He must have a cracking start. Great dive and a great first 10 strokes when he hits the top of the water. I mean, he's a powerful lad, but he must really put that power to good use with his swimming stroke.
Yeah, so Hauser taking it out in front. Watching number 14, Ben Canute, who's always going to be up there in the swim. Just when we had that overhead a moment ago, it seemed to me that Richard Murray was right towards the back of these 10.
Yeah, Richard Murray, Mario Mola, Christian Blumenfeld, Fabian, they were the back line of that race.
Just wondering what the chances are of someone like Canute, maybe Johnny, getting any kind of a very small break over Murray, Mola, Blumenfeld on the bike, because that would be absolutely key. There's Canute, as this is really taking its toll now. That steep ramp they have to go up, that's slippery and wet and rungs on one side. And there you see Blumenfeld in an absolutely great position, just in front of Johnny and Aaron Royal. Then you go back to Fabian, and in behind Bert Whistle, and just glimpse Richard Murray in there as well. Now, we know how aggressive Ben Canute can be on a bike. Can he get away? Even a small little break would be valuable. We saw Mario Mola defend and retain his world title just a week ago, but things not going too well for the Spaniard today, Vicky.
No, Mario is showing the signs all over his face of not being comfortable, not being where he wants to be. We've not seen him have an easy ride in any of the other 2 races today either. He's had to really work to get back into the races after poor swims on both the first 2 rounds.
Just as you were speaking, Vicky, sorry to cut you off, but Andreas Schilling's just spun off and into the barrier. I think he's okay. Whether his bike is or not is another matter. He's got to get that chain back on. Fortunately, no serious damage. Well, we're about halfway through this 5,000-metre bike course on what is the final stage of the Super League Triathlon Eliminator in what's now a very, very damp Jersey. Let's hope we get no more, well, plenty more thrills, not so many more spills in the last 2,000 metres of this bike.
You're seeing this group of 6 or 7, because it's 6 or 7 guys riding quite well. The guys at the back aren't having to sprint back on, and that's because A, there's only 6 or 7 of them, but B, they're all pretty good riders, so they're managing to stay on the wheel. They're staying within probably half a metre to a metre of the wheel in front of them when they're going around the corner. Whereas guys who aren't as good, if one person loses 1 or 2 metres and the next person loses 2 or 3 metres, before you know it, that gap is 20, 30 metres, 5 or 6 people back, and that's an absolute killer. And at this point in the race, you've got to start making the calculations. 1 lap, 1.1k to go. Even if you do start to split it, the maximum kind of gap you're going to get is 5 seconds. Might be very, very important, but you know, is the effort you're going to expend getting there worth it?
So there is the bell. 1,000 metres to go on the bike. Blumenfeld back at the front of affairs from Johnny Brownlee. Richard Murray right on the premises as well. A man with the title to defend from Hamilton Island back in March, where the conditions were somewhat different to those they've experienced today.
There's just a bit of a gap there back to Ben Canute in 5th place and taking Murray back a little bit with him, but it looks like they've closed it off. And I really don't think they've got much choice. They can't really move up when it's this fast and this technical. you can't move up too much, so, and you waste a lot of energy doing it. So they've just got to make sure they're at the front and nail the transition, nail getting the shoes off. If you did a really good job at that, you might just be able to get round someone in the last few meters. So this transition now is going to be absolutely crucial.
Yeah, it will indeed. I don't think anyone incurred a time penalty. We're all off the bike before the line. You're watching Brownlee look to be...
Yeah, Blumenfeld's out first. Okay. I think Johnny's pretty clean. Matt Hauser there and Murray.
Oh, Murray got a knock there from Ben Canute.
Yeah. I think we can expect for Blumenfeld to take this out hard. Putting a visor on for a 2K run there, Richard Murray, you have to question whether the second or 2 seconds, you know, whatever that cost you, is it worth it over this distance?
I
Interesting conversation.
It's just habit, isn't it? It's almost an automatic thing that he does. Same with Mario, I reckon. We'll see if Mario puts his visor on behind, but it's Blumenfeld who leads from Brownlee and Hauser.
That gap's definitely opened up between Johnny and Blumenfeld. Blumenfeld's just gone for it.
It has, and to the naked eye, it appears as though the gap between Johnny and Murray might be closing a little bit. Just to reiterate, if they finish in the positions as they are now, with Brownlee second and Murray third, it would mean that Johnny Brownlee would take second overall because of a better finishing position in the eliminator. But still 1,000 meters to go. Blumenfeld, you've just got to love the way the guy races. Yeah, he's so competitive and so strong.
Absolutely, he's been on the limit from the first stride of this run, and if you compare him to look at Johnny's face and Richard's face, who don't look, I mean, they might be pushing themselves as hard as they can, but they don't look like they're going through anything even near to what Christian Blumenfeld's going through. So yeah, absolutely, I love to see people race as hard as they can. He trains hard, he races hard, and it's just brilliant to see.
Blumenfeld's just going at it.
Right on the back of a camera bike here. There must be a meter there. You know, he's without a doubt, we can see from the helicopter shot, getting a draft advantage from that. It's part of the race. There's nowhere else he can go, to be fair to him. It's a narrow course, so it's not a criticism, but yeah, he's still pushing, and that's providing a perfect pacer for him effectively. His turnover is just incredible.
I was just going to say, his leg turnover is unbelievable. He really does. He has run this 2K from the moment he racked his bike, I think, at the same speed. It's just truly amazing.
I mean, you wouldn't say he was a classical runner, but it's determination, it's sheer bloody mindedness, it's extreme fitness, and just a willingness to not accept defeat. Johnny Brownlee doing well so far to hold off Richard Murray, who's trying to pressurise him for second.
He's on a slight downhill here. He really needs to make the most of these downhills to, you know, really try and get those legs going and get the momentum behind him using gravity rather than his own energy. And yeah, with 400 or 500 meters to go, you've just got to give it your all at this point.
Well, being roared on by the locals here in Jersey, who, to be fair, are giving Blumenfeld a great ovation as well, and so they should. It's been a phenomenal performance from Christian Blumenfeld. I don't think he's looked behind him once, and he hasn't had to.
Yeah, no, this has been a great one from him. He just took it out from the start, and good on him. Really took it out, and you can see, I mean, he even looks a bit more comfortable now, just although he still looks like a man possessed. This race for second and third is interesting, though. Johnny is not at all clear of Richard Murray. Richard Murray has got a good finish on him. Blumenfeld can enjoy the crowd.
He can, he's absolutely milking it. Brownlee trying to stay ahead of Murray, but Christian Blumenfeld, the pride of Norway, there's the smile. What a stunning display it's been. He's going to win this with maximum points. He's the Super League Triathlon champion from Jersey. Brilliant. And Johnny Brownlee holds off Murray, and that'll get him second in the eliminator, and also second overall. The South African finishes third.
I felt so tired after yesterday. Didn't really sleep that well tonight, so I was kind of a bit nervous before the race because I wasn't sure how the legs would respond. So yeah, super pleased with the way it turns out.
The final results of the eliminator. Blumenfeld with maximum points in just the same way as Katie Zafiris had in the women, 50 out of 50. Johnny Brownlee second, similar points, same points as Richard Murray, but because he finished ahead of him in this race, he's given second. Matt Hauser, that's a good effort from the youngster. Jake Birtwistle in fifth, a big improvement from yesterday.
What a weekend of racing here at Super League Triathlon Jersey. Congratulations to our winners, and a big thanks to the crowds for their fantastic support. We hope you enjoyed Super League Triathlon. See you next time.